Okay, we got bolts, we got taps, we got tie rod ends, we got everything to put this gear back together and finally finish this project up. Thank God, it drug out to way more than what I was hoping. And technically it's still not done because I still need to do a reach tube and wheel bearings. But I'm dropping hay and possibly tomorrow afternoon, depending on weather. If not, Friday for sure. So, first thing, replace this guy. Jam nut goes on the bottom. That's gonna make me put it back up on it. Alright, now that that's on, chase the threads in the drag link so we can put the new ends on. Okay, now for the fun part, setting the toe. And I say fun part because since this one only has actual independent ball joints on the outside, every time you want to make a toe adjustment, you got to knock the ball joint back out, spin it, and then put it back together and see where you land, rather than having a tube that you can just spin and adjust your length. So, and right now it's got some major toe in going on. Come back here. So, but I did start out with both of them set to 1 inch. So, we just adjust them evenly. you have to snug the nut up every time to make sure the taper's seated so that you're not whopper jawed. Okay, that one's 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so toe in is roughed in-ish. Right now I got roughly 1/2 inch of toe. To keep, as it sits right here, to keep both tie rod ends, or to keep both tie rods the same length, I either have 1/2 inch of toe in or 0 toe, and you don't want 0. So we're gonna hold it right there for a minute until we get the tongue put on. And in order to get the tongue put on, need to punch a cotter pin hole in this new bolt. There's that. Alright, before I put the tongue on, I was like, probably ought to check and make sure this thing telescopes like it's supposed to. It don't, so we're gonna see how stuck is. Tension on it so I can hit it with a hammer. But you hit the brake, it engages. You hit the brake, it engages the transmission clutch, and then it relaxes a little bit. Okay, go get a hammer. It moved a little bit. Alright, so one more thing. I pulled the telescope out of the tube. One more thing I want to try to address that Dad and I noticed. We were looking at it here on the floor. The tongue has a bend in it right here. This reinforcing plate goes over it, and they probably should have brought that out a little further. But, so we're going to try to push this out of it. Don't know if it's going to go because it's a pretty tight little bend right there. But we're going to see what it'll do. What I'm scared of is collapsing the end. That's going to be the tricky part. It is moving. We're up to 30 ton, but it is moving. And it's not collapsing the end. Set it up on the bench, see how we did. All right, that was a no-go. I'm getting that tweak out of the tongue. It's just, it's got a really hard crease right there. This side, I don't think this side's really, I mean, obviously the whole thing's bent, but it's almost like when it went, that side right there buckled and this side just came around, and short of cutting the bottom out of the tongue so that you can start moving stuff individually, that's going to be a real hard thing to get out without collapsing stuff, and so we're just not going to worry about that. So in order to account for that bend, right now I have the tongue right here is centered on the reach by measuring. I pull the tape over the keeper bolt on the spindles and measured to here, so I'm now at 105.5 both ways, which, because of the way triangles work, means I'm on center. So now, in order to make sure that the wheels are centered with the tongue, I have to find a stationary point to measure off of, which Dad suggested using that bolt, which will probably work. And now that my toe is basically set, it's a little, like I say, it's a little aggressive. It's a 1/2 inch. But in order to keep them equal length, which I guess now, since we're offsetting it, I might be able to change that a little bit. But we'd still have to be equidistant from here to here. So I guess it's still going to be basically the way the threads work out on the tie rods. I either have a 1/2 inch of toe or I have 0. Otherwise you end up different lengths. So yeah, we're gonna stick with the 1/2. It's, like I say, it's kind of aggressive, but it's not a high-speed use item by any means. So now, if we measure off of this bolt here, that's going to be the hard part. It's got to basically be that bolt, because that bolt's going to be the center. And that's going to tell me if we're turned one way or the other. $30 3/4. And if we go the other way, We are at 31. Which would mean so in order to center everything up, okay. All right, there we go. I got it. I got the tie rods. Everything's set equal so that it's pulling straight when the end of the tongue is centered on the reach. So it's gonna have a little bit of a yank in it because of that bend right there, but should pull straight. So with that being said, the steering is all back together, the tongue's all freed up, everything moves like it should. The only thing I won't know is if the length is correct until I get the rack on it, get it hooked up to the baler, and see if I need to. I prefer to run the baler tongue as short as I can just to get the lever rack or the lever moment out of it. So get the wagon set to the baler versus setting the baler to the wagon. So that will be the only adjustment that still needs to be made. And then it sounds like Dad might try to get, he thinks he might be able to get me a short drop of pipe for this reach tube so that I don't have to buy an entire chunk. He might be able to get me a piece tomorrow, which if that's the case, then it won't take 15-20 minutes to make our new reach tube for this thing, because I don't think it's stuck. It might be stuck. The back's not stuck. The front might be, or it could just be pinched, because it looks like that just. It looks like that actually draws up tight. So hopefully it's just pinched. But if he can get me a new reach tube for tomorrow, might go ahead and throw that in real quick before I put the rack on it, because once that's done, the rack won't have to come back off. I can do everything else can be done with the rack sitting on it. So when I could work on like wheel bearings and stuff, that can all happen at my house because I don't need any special tools for it. So we're gonna leave the rack off it for tonight pending that, and if that doesn't happen, we'll throw the rack on it tomorrow. We had about a half-inch, 6/10 of rain this afternoon before I started working on this. We got more coming overnight, and where's I going with this? They're him-hawing about chances tomorrow morning, but then it's supposed to be sunny again by tomorrow afternoon, so I don't know if I'm going to try to cut tomorrow or give the ground. I might probably better off, even if it does get sunny tomorrow, let it sit, let the ground dry out, still cut Friday. That way we're not laying wet grass on wet ground. Would probably be ideal, because I think as of right now, we're still looking at good weather Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if need be. Oh, they took the rain out of tomorrow. Yeah, as of right now, there's no rain tomorrow night, no rain Friday night, no rain Saturday night, no rain Sunday night, no rain Monday night. Yeah, so they took a bunch of the rain out. So with that being said, I'll probably just go ahead and just let it sit tomorrow and dry out that way. Because there's going to be enough of a fight with this humidity to get things to dry out. So we'll just figure on if he gets me a tube, putting a reach tube in this. Otherwise we'll put the rack on and get everything bolted down tomorrow, so that Friday when I get off we can go and start dropping hay. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Alright, we're going to marry these two back together real quick. It was a no dice on a reach pipe. One of the places Dad does a lot of business with normally has steel like that, but I guess they don't stock pipe like that big unless they need it for an order. However, they buy ungodly amounts of steel in a year, and because of that they get a discount. So Dad had them quoted out on an order they're getting ready to put in the beginning of next week, so they'll be able to get it cheaper than I can buy it if I went into Alro and bought it myself. So we'll have to pull this back apart one more time to do that reach tube, but it's not going to be in time to use the wagon. So, but I got oil today for the for the front gear case on the 270, so when I get a chance I can do that. Like I say, this thing, we've got material coming for it. I got the crimper pulled over here today. I went and my uncle had a bunch more crap from cleaning out the barn to give me. I shouldn't say a bunch more. I got some brand new sickle sections that I think will fit my mower. And I mean like a stack of boxes yay tall. The Farm King, I think they were, whatever the old Quality Farm and Fleet brand was back when Quality Farm and Fleet was still a thing. Some other odds and ends, tractor parts. So hopefully Saturday. I got some spot spraying I got to do Saturday morning. Well, maybe it's gonna depend on the dew. That soybean field I had to replant from the deer damage. I've got to go over and spray that because the residual wore off before it canopied out. It's mostly grass, so I'm probably gonna hit it with straight Roundup. But yeah. I'm gonna set you on a tongue so I can use both hands. And then maybe Saturday, I don't know if I'll be able to rake Saturday or not. Anyway, maybe at some point Saturday we can go over and grab that 77 at the very least. And possibly the wagon and the plow. It's all going to depend on where we're sitting with hay. If it'll rake Saturday afternoon, we're gonna, it's all gonna depend. Let me guess, it's not gonna roll. There we go. Make sure my bolt hole is lined up. I think we're good. Actually, it feels like I'm bottomed out on the back stake. Yep, so we're good. I got a sneaking suspicion I'm going to end up shortening up that tongue. Alright, I swung it around, got it up here by the shop. that way I can get an air hose to it, because I've got a carriage bolt to the frame, and there's a round hole in this bracket. I should have done this part before I put the deck and everything on it, but I kind of forgot about it. So I got a die grinder, and we're gonna make this hole kind of square to accept that carriage bolt. Should do it. Gonna need a little tap. All right, it's bolted in. That was a good enough gouging out to make it square. So last thing we got to do now that it's attached to the gear is cut the tails off the front. I've already got a chalk mark struck out. So the only thing that's going to kind of suck is the bolt heads are going to kind of be in the way. I wish they had all ended up the same length roughly, and I probably wouldn't even have had to screw with it hardly, but those two boards, they're 216 and a half, and all the rest of them are 217 and a quarter. So I don't know if mill guy was slow that day or what. Alright, there she be. Looks a lot nicer, not all scraggle-tooth across the front. It'd be nice to fix the... After I caught my mistake, I did pretty good on this side, but it's a little snaggle-toothed on that side, but you don't look at the back nearly as much as you look at the front. So... And so, yeah. Basically, at this point... get it through this cutting, see how things end up. First thing I do, I might have time to mess with it here in between fair and Rantoul and all that stuff. But anyway, the three things I want to do to it yet, well, need the wheel bearings. Those are a need. Reach tube, and then get a 2x4 and run a toe board across the front. That'll serve two purposes. A, it'll give you something like the name says to hook your toe into if the deck gets slick, so you don't slide off the front. And B, it will give the chute on the baler a smooth surface to ride on, so you're not hooking on the corners of these boards. But that can wait, but it should be easy enough to do. Probably just catch 4 lag bolts down through here, however it works out, and punch all the way through, so you sandwich them, and that'll be plenty. Don't think I need anything down the sides. Should be fine. So, but yeah, all in all, I'm happy with how it turned out. It definitely looks a lot better than what it did when I brought it home. All whopper jawed steering and busted up rack and no floor and what have you. It's gonna be a nice wagon. 8x18. Gonna fit a lot of hay on there. Stack that thing 7 high, and pretty sure we'll be able to go a full 3 wide. I mean, this thing's 8 foot. That's freaking wide. So, and since I'm getting that wagon from my uncle that was granddad's, it's got that's a dump wagon. It's got a hoist under it, but and you'll see more of it when we get it, maybe this weekend or whenever I get time. But that one, Dad actually built the bed on it. It's not nearly this big. I think that one's 7 foot wide and maybe 12 foot long, I think, maybe. But it's got a scissor hoist under it, and Dad built the bed out of it. They built it for hauling firewood, so the bed on it is built like a damn dump truck. It's all box tube frame with close space cross members. Dad said, if he remembers right, they use 2x6 tongue and groove for the floor. It's built stout. Floor needs replaced now because it's been sitting outside for God knows how long underneath the tree. But it's got stake pockets in it for sides. They never got the sides built because Granddad got sick and the project got put on hold. But that one would be easy enough. Put a new floor in it. Build a rack for it. This sits in the back stake pockets, and obviously, like I say, it'll be smaller than this, but that could be hay wagon number 2 pretty quickly. And then if we want to use it for a dump wagon, just lift the rack out of it, put the sides on it, and it could be a dump wagon. So the only thing you have to do if you were going to use that one for a hay wagon is build some sort of lock for the front bolster to hold the bed down. That way, because it is a dump wagon, you don't get too much weight on the back and it decides to rink on its own. So, but I'm excited to pull it and see how everything works out. So that will be hopefully Sunday, if not Monday after work. We'll see how things go. So, but hopefully Sunday, because I got a lot of stuff I got to do next week to get ready for, I guess not a lot, but next week I want to get ready for tractor pulling. So anyhow, I guess with that being said, that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.